Okay, this is our practice quiz, chapter 5, sections 1 and 5, part 2. Let's pick up on this problem. This problem? This problem. Problem 5, that's where we left off. Okay. All right, remember we could take an ordered pair and always make a right triangle out of it. And then once we have a right triangle, I can get any trig function I want. Now what I've done here is I've used similar triangles. I can divide every single side by 6 and have the exact same angles in shape. You don't have to do that, but it's a good deal to do if you're like me and you're afraid of big numbers. Okay, so once we got it to here, then this becomes a little bit more manageable. And then I use Pythagorean and found the hypotenuse. Like I said, you could work with these big nasty numbers. I think this would actually end up being 30. Okay, whatever. All right, so then what am I going to do? I find this side. Opposite over a hypotenuse. 4/5. Okay. This one here, the best way to attack this is the unit circle. Right? The unit circle right here, if I look, where is 3 pi over 2? It's right down here at 270 degrees. What's the coordinates? 0, -1. Remember on our unit circle, the coordinates, the x guy always represents the side adjacent. This guy always represents the side opposite. So the cotangent of 3 pi over 2, see the tangent is opposite over adjacent. So this is adjacent over opposite. 0 divided by -1 is simply just going to give me 0. Okay? You can also remember that the cotangent is the cosine divided by the sine. And in the unit circle, this guy will always be the cosine. This guy will always be the sine. Okay, how are we going to do this? Similar sort of way, cosine of 2/3. Well, I know 2 has to be my side adjacent. 3 has to be my hypotenuse. Okay, now what is this guy telling us? What is all this garbage? All this means is that tangent is negative. Oops, not -1. Tangent's just negative. Okay, well, where does negative tangent exist? Well, I know tangent is positive here, and all of my trig functions are positive here. And it says that cosine is positive. Well, I know cosine is positive in the first quadrant and the fourth quadrant. So what quadrant can I be in where this is positive and the tangent is negative? I have to be in the fourth quadrant. All right, so that's why I drew my little triangle in the fourth quadrant. So the 2 is going to be my side adjacent. The 3 is my my hypotenuse. And then my side opposite has to be negative. And how did I find this number? I used Pythagorean. Okay, so here's my hypotenuse squared is equal to that squared plus that squared. Okay, now what does it want to know? It wants to know the sine, which is the opposite over the hypotenuse. -5 over 3, not 2. Okay, rocking and rolling. How are we going to do this? Very much the same way. All right, this x coordinate represents a side adjacent. This y coordinate represents a side opposite. I use Pythagorean, and I find that the hypotenuse is equal to 1. All right, and what do they want? The cosine. The cosine is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. 3/8 divided by 3/8 is 3/8. Whenever your hypotenuse is 1, just like on the unit circle, this side adjacent will always be the value of the cosine. This side opposite will always be the value of the sine. But be careful. It's only useful if your hypotenuse is 1. Okay, on part 3, I'm going to talk about what is this even and odd properties. Gee, Mr. Weidman, you never taught us that. And that's right, I didn't. But I am going to talk about that in further detail in the next video, and I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's that useful. I think somebody is just trying to find some use for even and odd properties. It's so much simpler to do on a unit circle. See you then.